excited just like always. Welcome back. My name is Suzanne because if Sue can, you can too. Yeah, that's me. So welcome back. I'm so happy that you're here. And wow, most of these shows are full circle and some rhyme or reason. And today is no different. So all the way from England, I don't even know how this happened. I got really lucky. Last year or so, I was studying some energy medicine kind of stuff, and I have been just on this mega seeking path. And all of a sudden, I found the gentleman you're about to meet. And we connected. I had him on my radio show, and all of a sudden, bang, zoom, here I'm on TV. And he's here from England, live in the studio. So, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jerry Sargeant. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure. How are you, Suzanne?
I'm bomb diggity awesome. Totally.
Amazing. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a long trip for you, isn't it?
It is. We were in New York City last week, so it wasn't too hard to just jump on the plane and come up here.
Yeah.
So we're excited to be here. We're having a great time.
Oh my gosh, and there's so much to do. What'd you think of New York City?
It was fun. It was busy. And to be honest with you, couldn't wait to get up here and get somewhere a little bit quieter. But we had a great time there.
Yeah.
We were at the Conscious Life Expo last week. Did some workshops. Had a stand, loads of healings, selling books. Just meeting people really, just a bit more exposure. And it was great. Met some phenomenal contacts.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you landed here in Buffalo yesterday. What have you done so far?
Yesterday we chilled out, and today we went to the Niagara Falls and we had a wicked time. Energy at the waterfalls was mind-blowing.
Wow.
Absolutely, so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so powerful. I had a great time. Got soaking wet, got freezing cold, but it was all part of the experience. It was great.
Awesome, awesome. So let's get right to it. Now, Jerry has created something that he calls Star Magic Healing, and there is a super interesting backstory as always. So tell us how this came about, please.
Well, as you know, I didn't used to believe in anything spiritual. I used to think it was all a load of mumbo jumbo. God, spirit, the universe, whatever kind of label you decide to put on it, I thought it was all rubbish. I used to be a criminal. I used to smuggle drugs, guns, human beings for prostitution. I was involved in lots of high-level bank fraud, and that was my life. I was completely driven by my ego, living in a materialistic world, and something happened. I had some crazy life-changing experiences which just took me 180 degrees the other way. I was a drug addict and an alcoholic at 15 years old, and that's kind of my life just spiraled out of control.
Wow. At
the age of about 25, 26, I think it was 12 years ago, and I'm 39 now, so maybe 27 actually. It was when I was 27 years old. I was involved in a serious car crash. I was in Romania with my ex-wife and 2 children, and I was in a taxi. I was asleep, and I woke up and I heard this loud crash. There was glass, there was wind, the car was swaying from side to side, and I thought to myself, boy, we're in a bad accident. We're either going to hit the oncoming traffic or the car's going to flip over. And then all of a sudden we came to a stop. There was no other cars on the road, sun was just coming up. I've looked to the left-hand side at the taxi driver, he looked petrified. I've looked in the back, our daughter Alea was climbing up from underneath the driver's seat. There was no seat belts in this taxi, so she'd gone under the seat. Laura had our son Josh in her arms, both of their mouths are full of glass. I've looked in front of me and there was a hole in the windscreen and there's blood dripping down my face, but it wasn't my blood. My face was a bit sore. So I'm thinking, what's going on? I've got out of the car, I've looked up the road about 30 metres and there was 2 ladies lying on the side of the road. I've looked about another 100 metres up the road and there was what looked like a dead body. So I've started to walk up the road and I've got to these 2 ladies and one of the ladies had her ankles cut off. Okay, what had happened is 3 ladies were crossing the road in the morning. First one came through the windscreen, smashed me in the face, got flipped up over the car and died. Second one had her ankles cut off. Third lady was physically okay. So I've walked past the 2 ladies that were on the side of the road. There was a guy on a phone. He'd come out from a nearby factory, so I assumed he'd called the emergency services. I've gone a little bit further, got towards this dead body that was on the floor, and I saw this lady's soul hovering above her body. Up until that point in my life, I'd never seen anything like that. You know, I thought it was just this physical reality and there was nothing beyond the physical form. So I've got within about 10 meters and I'm staring at this soul. I've got closer and closer. Then the soul has just disappeared into the ether. And I'm looking down at this lady's body, and her legs are wrapped up over her head. She's in a complete mess. She's mangled. But I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel angry. I just remember looking up to the heavens and saying, thank you. I felt really blessed to be a part of this experience. It felt like this lady had sacrificed herself for me so I could see what happens firsthand after death. It was like someone had taken an old car to the scrap heap. This soul no longer had any use for this body. So boom, it's gone on this merry way. So this happened and it woke me up. It was like the universe smacking me around the face and saying, come on, Jerry, wake up, man. We're so much more than these physical bodies. We're atoms, we're molecules, we're energy, we're space. So this event happened. A few months later, my ex-wife had a headache. And for some reason, I thought to myself, I can take this out of your head. So I've walked up to her. She's lying on the bed. I've seen this headache inside her head. It was green. So I've just grabbed it and pulled it out. And she got up off the bed like she didn't have a headache. And I thought to myself, that's a bit strange, but just carried on. Carried on doing what I was doing. Around this sort of time, I met my first spiritual teacher. She did a lot of past life regression. She took me into hundreds of my past lives and parallel realities. So she also taught me how to remote view. I had to bring my light from my body to travel through different dimensions, densities. She really upskilled me in the spiritual field. Around the same sort of time, I came face to face with a reptilian in human form. I went to a talk about 2012, and the end of the Mayan calendar. Me and my friends were just exploring, and I was in this house. And I asked this guy a question, and I annoyed him. It was a kind of a contradictive question. He held my stare, and his face just disappeared, and there was a green lizard. And I'm thinking, what is going on, man?
Don't eat the brown acid, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like some kind of crazy acid trip.
What were did anybody else see this?
My friends did. They were to my left and to his right. And then he held my stare for maybe 5 to 6 seconds, which seemed like an eternity. And then his face just changed back. On the outside, I'm trying to keep cool as a cucumber. On the inside, I was burning up, thinking, what's going on?
Yeah, am I seeing what it looks like? I'm seeing, right?
And I wasn't seeing this with my mind's eye. This was with my physical eyes.
Wow.
His face completely disappeared. So this happened. All of these kind of reality shifts were happening in my life. And then a few months later, we moved to New Zealand. And a friend of mine had a serious car accident. She was in hospital, and the doctors had said, you're probably never going to walk again. You'll be in hospital for at least a year. And her partner phoned up and asked if I could help. And I was like, how can I help? I'm in New Zealand. You're in England. My ego was saying there's nothing you can do, but my intuition was saying go and lie on the bed. So I went and laid on the bed, put crystals on my chakra points, and then all of a sudden I was inside a hospital room. And all this light started pouring out of my hands. And I kind of just knew what to do. I started putting her body back together. And I did this every day for a few weeks. She walked out of hospital in 12 weeks with the use of a Zimmer frame. The doctors were flabbergasted. And I was thinking to myself, did I do something? Didn't I do something? Surely this is just my mind's playing tricks on me. But then she came out of hospital and phoned me up and she said, Jerry, I woke up one night. I looked at the side of my bed and said, what are you doing here? So she saw me in a hospital room. So I'm thinking, okay, something's really shifting here. Now, around the same time, I met a guy who taught me how to meditate. And I was around his house one day in his garden. He had a copper pyramid in his garden. And when you get copper pyramids, you put them at the right nautical angles, face them in the right direction. It creates a crazy vortex of energy. So I'm in there one day. I had loads of experiences in there, but the most prominent one, I was meditating with my eyes open, and this little space pod came and landed next to me. And there was a blue being inside of it. So I've taken my light out of my body. I've gone over to this space pod, and I've got inside. And this blue being said, my name's Derekwai. And we just started traveling through a tunnel of light, which lasted for 4 seconds, maximum 5 seconds. And then we came out the other side, and we were above water. There was beach in front of us. There was loads of these blue beings on this beach, and there was jungle and trees behind this beach. So I've got out this spacecraft, walked up the beach, and met these beings, and it was like going home. I felt so much love, like a love that I just can't describe with human words. And these beings were Lyran beings, and we're in the Alpha Centauri star system, which had been inhabited by these Lyran beings. And I started getting all this information. Like I knew how long they were pregnant for, how they got pregnant, how they created their food, what they ate. All of this different information was just filtering into my consciousness. Then they cleared a path for me, and I followed one of them through this path, and they took me to meet The only way I can describe it is like their chief or an elder. And I went into this building which was made by light, knelt down on the floor, and then all of this orange light started pouring into my crown chakra. It was full of geometry and code, but not the kind of sacred geometry that you see here on planet Earth. I call it space geometry because I've got no other word for it. I've never seen it before. And it was just pouring into my crown. This happened for a little while, and then suddenly it stopped. They picked me up, 2 of them, under my arms, and frog marched me back to this space pod real quick, stuck me inside. We went back through the tunnel of light, back in the garden, back in my meditation, thinking, what is going on? You know, did this really just happen? And then nothing else happened for 2 years. And then one day I woke up and I said to Laura and the kids, I said, we've got to go back to England. And they looked at me like I was nuts. They said, we've just set up a business. We've set up a health and fitness centre. And everyone was really happy, but I said, we've got to go back to England. I don't know why, but we've just got to go. So after, weeks of trying to persuade them, we ended up going back to England. And I was out running one day and I see some fairies flying around a tree. So I stop and I'm like, my God, I'm seeing fairies. What's going on? There was an extraterrestrial that took me in a spaceship. Now I'm seeing fairies. And then this angel came down. He said, Jerry, my name's Archangel Gabriel. You need to write a book called Into the Light. So I said, okay. So I legged it home. I opened up my computer and I just started typing, and this book just came out of me. And I now realized that it wasn't about writing the book. It was about what was happening to me whilst I was writing the book and the information, the light frequencies that I was connecting with. As soon as I finished writing this book, I started seeing code everywhere. And it was the same code that I had in this orange download of light in the Alpha Centauri star system with these Lyran beings. So I was saying to my guides, what am I supposed to do with this stuff? They said, you've got to meditate more. So I was getting up every single morning with my son, Josh, who was about 8 years old at the time. And we were going to these ancient mystery schools underneath the pyramids in Egypt. And we were sat in classrooms. And it wasn't just Josh and I. There was other human beings there too.
Did you go there in meditation?
In meditation, yeah. In meditation. So we went in down these tunnels in our meditation and ended up in these classrooms. So there was a guy at the front, and he was getting out these ancient scrolls, and there was codes, there was pictures, there was symbols. And the symbols that were on these scrolls were the same symbols that I was seeing in the air, and the same symbols in the orange download of light. So Josh and I went for 2 hours every day for 9 months.
So did you guys compare notes when you came out of the meditation?
We wrote everything down.
Each of you separately, and then you're like, oh, did you see that? I saw that too.
When we were in it, we were talking to each other. We were talking to each other whilst we were in it and saying, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? And we're like, yeah. Everything was just stacking up. If we had to turn right down this corridor, we both knew which corridor to go around, and everything, we were just having exactly the same visions the whole way. Everything was just, spot on. So after this 9 months, people just started coming into my life that needed healing. So I thought, well, let me just see if this stuff works. So I was trying it and it was working. Family, friends of friends. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I could, maybe charge people for this, and I started looking into other healers and this sort of thing. And I thought, this is a business. So I ended up going to like a Mind, Body, Spirit festival. Or it was a small one, a really small fair in England. And I went with my daughter. I had a stand, I gave a talk. And whilst we were at this place, we met a lady called Rachel. And, we met shortly after this exhibition. And we spoke about, what we were doing. And, we decided to put on a workshop. And that's when Star Magic was born. We set it up 2 years ago, did our first workshop. I started offering one-on-one healings through Skype. And people just were coming from everywhere, booking healings online, and the workshops are going really great. Shortly after this, this same Lyran being came to me and he said, Jerry, you need to go meditate on this hill. So I've gone up to this hill in this town where I live in Cheltenham in England, and I'm looking out over the city, and the city's just disappeared. And this vision came, and I saw the Christ consciousness grid around the planet, and I saw all these healing centers. And I said, what am I supposed to do with these? He said, you've got to build them. I said, well, if I build them, who's going to run them? He said, well, you've got to train people. So I ran home, I designed a training program, a 5-day training program, advertised it on the website, it filled up straight away.
Wow.
And, since then we've run, several training programs, or training experiences, I call them, 5-day training experiences. We trained 200 people already. We've got another 100 people to train over the next 2 weeks, one in England, one in Dubai. Next year we've got 1,000 people already lined up to train. We wrote a book called Star Magic Heal the Universe. Well, I wrote that and published that. Things have just started flying. We found a piece of land in Romania, which we're going to buy, build our first healing centre.
Oh my gosh!
In Transylvania, not too far from where St. Germain had his first mystery school. So things are just accelerating and flying. You know, we're already booked up completely for 2018. It's nuts.
Wow.
I don't know how this happened, you know.
And it wasn't just a dream.
It seems like a dream. It seems like a dream, man. And I just feel so blessed and so grateful that we're able to transform people's lives so quickly.
What are some of the what's some of the feedback that you received from the facilitator training, which is the big one, the 5-day one?
People love it. I mean, I've never trained in any other healing modality. Mm-hmm. So people say, you know, what's it like compared to Reiki? What's it like compared to bioenergy healing or quantum healing? I say, I can't really give you that answer. But what I do know is we've trained a whole heap of people who have trained in these modalities for 30 to 50 years. Mm-hmm. And they come to our training experience and just say, our frequency is completely different from all the other ones. It blows them all out the water. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more efficient. It just gets the job done in rapid time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was my next question. How does it compare to Reiki? Because I did just get my Reiki certification. And so I'm super curious, but I'm also excited because you just happen to be doing a workshop in Buffalo this weekend, which by the time this is shown on the air, the weekend will have been done already. But these are workshops that you teach all over the place. And so what can one expect? Now, the one we're getting here in Buffalo is the Third Eye Activation 2-day weekend workshop, and it's down in Eden at the Marienthal Country Inn. So what are you going to teach? If it's, I don't know if it's proprietary, if you can say it on the air, or we have to be there, but what happens there?
First of all, I'm not going to teach anything. I'm not a teacher, I'm not a guru. I can't actually teach anybody anything. So if anyone's coming there to learn, they come into the wrong place. But what I am going to do is guide people and show people another way of being. So the third activation workshop is about the seat of the soul, the third eye, the pineal glands, which is like a stargate. It gives you access to information that is traveling through the ether always. Like this space that's all around us is not empty. You know, it's full of geometry, it's full of code, it's full of energy. It's so rich and it's so bountiful. And when you open your third eye, well, not open your third eye, but activate your third eye to tune into this information, because all of our third eyes are open. We're just not tuning into the flow of the information that's traveling through the universe. So I'm going to show people how to tune into these frequencies, the code, the information, the other beings that are in the space, whether they're angels, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them. We can communicate with them. We communicate with them by seeing them, by feeling them, and by knowing certain pieces of information which travel through the ether. So we're going to be going through meditations, we're going to be downloading light codes, we're going to be upgrading people, we're going to be working on their DNA. See, for me, meditation is a useful tool to slow people's brain waves down, somewhere between theta and delta state, between 3 and 5 brain cycles per second. Once we get their brain waves slowed down through meditation, we can take them on amazing journeys to expand their heart, but we can also bring in lights. High frequency light that doesn't come from this galaxy. It comes through the center of the sun, which is a cosmic portal from a different space. It's a platinum light frequency that contains code. This code, once it comes into our human consciousness, it triggers or unlocks the double helixes, which are our DNA strands, and it opens us up to a whole new world of information. See, we're all so much more than we believe we are. Mm-hmm. We're not just these mere mortals that certain powers that they would like us to believe.
Stuff. This is just a container for
it's just a container for an energy source that is connected to everything. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is we're going to unlock people's superhuman healing abilities. We're going to take them on the journey of unlocking their superhuman potential to teleport, to use telekinesis, to communicate telepathically, to be able to heal people at distance. All of these abilities are not abilities that are just for a chosen few or some special human being. Mm-hmm. I'm no different from anybody else. And for me, my message is freedom. I want everyone else on this planet to experience freedom and to know their power so they can be free and not locked in these small little meat suits, working their 9 to 5, earning a small amount of money so they can exist on this planet. No, we're all so much more than that. We all have the potential to be superhumans. And this third activation workshop is a great starting point for triggering a chain of events that is going to take them on a journey that they're not going to be able to stop. Once you come to this workshop, that's it. Your life's going to change. It's going to keep expanding and unfolding, because once you trigger this process, you can't close it up again. You're not going to turn back. It's a beautiful thing.
So next week, and when you guys see me on next week's show, I'm not going to turn into a reptile, am I?
You're going to have 2 heads,
oh,
4
no.
arms.
So let me ask you something, your opinion. Do you feel that we are here, we are placed here to evolve?
Absolutely. We're placed here to find our way back home.
I love that.
Find our way back to our center point, to return to the frequency of unconditional love, so we can love each other, care about each other, share on this planet. You know, strip away these control systems that are keeping us locked and separated in duality. You know, we're living in an illusion. You know, beyond that illusion is just light, frequency, code, sound. And you and I are no different. You might come from Buffalo, I might come from Cheltenham. You're from America, I'm from the UK. What's the difference? There is no difference. They're just illusions. You know, black, white, rich, poor, tall, short, you know, whatever it is, rich, poor. Nobody's any different. And what I want to do is to help people see that. Help people realize that we're all the same. No one's equal to anyone else. We're all actually unique. We're all unique beings, and we've all got something special to offer this world. But the only way that we're going to be able to express our uniqueness is by traveling into our hearts and connecting to the frequency of love and actually loving ourselves, because there's not many people on this planet that actually love themselves. But star magic is a catalyst for triggering that self-healing frequency, that frequency of unconditional love, which is going to help people expand into their wholeness, so they can be free, so they can accelerate in their life and do the things that they really want to do.
Yeah, I want some of that.
Find their life purpose.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, now, another thing that you do, as you already mentioned, is you do one-on-one healings, you do distance healings. Now, during a one-on-one healing, what's going on there? Like, what? 2 things here. Okay, I don't know whether to pick you or the person. What are you thinking? What's happening when you're doing a one-on-one healing?
Okay, so if I look at you, you look like Suzanne. And if I look at you in 3 weeks' time, you're still going to look like Suzanne. And in 6 months, still like Suzanne. But you're a complete new makeup of atoms, molecules, carbons, fibers, chemicals. Light is traveling through you all the time. Light is information, light is geometry, codes. Okay, so you're just a pattern that they call Suzanne. If you go to the Niagara Falls, like I went to the Niagara Falls today, you see that stream of water coming down all the time. And it looks like it's constant, but it's new water flowing through all the time. And we call it the Niagara Falls. We call you Suzanne. Both are just patterns of light, patterns of information. Now what happens is, because we're human beings and we experience emotion, we have physical bodies. You know, the mind and the body are intrinsically linked, so we think. We get caught up, we get hung up on things in the past. We worry about things in the future. We're also spiritual beings that are having a human experience, and we've had many other experiences on other timelines. Now, some of these timelines serve us and some of them don't. So if you've got a physical problem in this reality, your body is a highly advanced communication device which is reaching out to you to say, hey, Suzanne, your left shoulder's bad. It's aching, so you need to release such and such. But because we've never been shown that or taught that our physical body is a communication device, we run to the doctors. We ask for medicine to mask the pain, just to get rid of it. We don't realize that we've got to go into our heart, find the timeline or the reality that has actually created this problem in the first place, and shift it.
And you can do that.
This is what we do. So if you've got a physical issue, I don't like to use the word problem, because we're working outside of a problem-solution set of realities. Because if you've got a solution, there's got to be a problem. If there's a problem, there's got to be a solution. So we're stepping outside of that into a different space to find the trigger point that caused the issue in the first place, and collapsing that timeline, collapsing that reality, which manifests in the physical form as what people call healing. This isn't some kind of like airy-fairy, mystical, magical way of doing something that doesn't really exist. This is based on quantum physics, quantum entanglement. This is real stuff.
Yeah.
We live in an energetic universe, and when you know how to read the flow of the information, it's easy to tap into. It's easy to create change. It's easy to manifest. But we're not taught this as kids.
Oh, no. That's
so
pretty
for me,
wild.
what I'm doing is I'm tapping into the reality that created the problem and shifting it. As simple as that.
Wow, and I've noticed a lot of the feedback because I'm nosy like that. I want to see, what are these people saying? And it has been life shifting.
Yeah, I mean, we've had people that have had, serious illnesses like cancer. And after we've done 1 or 2 or 3 healings, there is no cancer. Now, I'm not saying that I can heal cancer. All I'm saying is that the cancer isn't there anymore.
Yes.
I'm
aware, yeah.
Did I do that? Didn't I do that? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is it was there and now it's not there. People have had fibromyalgia, people have had emotional problems, relationship problems, business problems, cysts, heart issues, you name it. And we've done 1 or 2 healings and then it's gone.
Wow.
So, I call myself the facilitator. All I'm doing is facilitating this process. I'm not actually doing anything. I'm just a vessel for the codes and the information to flow through. And what I'm doing is directing it and working with the frequency to create change in the human being. It's simple stuff. It's not rocket science.
That's so awesome. Now, we are starting to wind down and run out of time, so I do have one question. When you are doing a healing, is there intention, or do you step aside and just allow?
I do sometimes put intention into it, and the intention is for this healing to be for the human being's greatest growth. So what I'll always do when I go into healing is I'll say, please show me something I don't know to help me facilitate the healing of this incredible human being. And I drop from my mind down into my heart and I open myself up to the information that's flowing through the ether. Star magic isn't a modality. Star magic isn't a system, because as soon as you work within a system and a modality, you confine yourself to the information and the remits of that system or modality. I just open myself up to everything that is possible in that moment.
Wow.
And then whatever comes. And then I work with that.
Awesome. Wow, so holy moly, macaroni and cheese. We have heard about everything today. Wasn't it so exciting? I'm spitting all over the place. I told you it was going to be exciting. So listen, you want to find this guy, and I have read the book, and it is called Star Magic, Heal the Universe, Rooted in Love, Not in Logic. And my name is Suzanne Sucan, because if Sue can, you can too. And you want to find Mr. Jerry Sargeant, StarMagicHealing.com. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody.